How did PayPal, the pioneer of the online payments industry, experience such an extreme fall from grace? Once highly respected for revolutionizing the way that payments could be made, PayPal today is surrounded by a number of controversies and has seen its competitors rapidly eat away at their market share year after year. Additionally, as the pandemic has ended and the world has returned to a sense of normalcy, PayPal has begun to struggle for the first time in its history. The company's stock has fallen heavily from its all-time high during the pandemic, and the future of the company is unclear. How did PayPal end up in this position? Let's find out. Before I go over my reasons for the rise and fall of PayPal, we need to first learn a little bit more about the company. The company that would eventually be known as PayPal was founded in 1998 under the name Confinity and provided security software for various devices. Confinity saw little success in this industry, however, and quickly transitioned its focus to digital wallets. As the internet tightened its grip on global consumers, Confinity realized that a specific market was largely untapped, that market being online payments between consumers and businesses. Confinity came up with an extremely simple business plan: convince customers to share their emails, banking information, and credit card information in exchange for fast, low-cost payments on popular sites across the internet. Oh, and of course, also take a small percentage of each transaction it facilitated. With this plan in mind, Confinity's first electronics payment system was released in 1999 and quickly caught on, reaching over 10,000 users by the end of the year, basically by word of mouth from its users. These initial users largely came from another company that was a massive reason for the rise of PayPal, and funny enough would actually end up acquiring PayPal and forever altering the trajectory of the online payments company, but more on that shortly. The following year in 2000, Confinity merged with X.com, an online financial services company founded by, among others, Elon Musk. This merger proved to be extremely successful for Confinity, as by the end of the year in 2000, Musk decided that X.com would solely focus its efforts and manpower on Confinity's online payments operations. The following year in 2001, the company would officially take the name that has become synonymous with online payments, PayPal. And the year after, PayPal would undergo an IPO at $13 per share, generating over $61 million for the company on its first day of trading. Around the time of PayPal's IPO, the company had handled more than $3 billion in payments for over 13 million customers since its release 3 years prior in 1999. PayPal was obviously doing extremely well. Going from 10,000 users in 1999 to over 13 million in 2002 is no easy feat by any means. However, the company would experience another level in terms of growth shortly after its IPO, after it was acquired by online retail giant eBay, which is my first reason for the rise of PayPal. Like I kind of alluded to earlier, the earliest users of PayPal were actually eBay customers. In the early days of eBay, users were forced to pay for the item they bought by sending a paper check by mail, which would usually take a week or so to get to the seller. But once a handful of eBay users discovered PayPal and realized that they could complete payments with just a few clicks, everything would change. Very quickly, eBay sellers began recruiting buyers to sign up for PayPal and vice versa, as they all realized that completing payments online greatly expedited the once time-consuming task of buying and selling products online. These early customers made up the majority of the first 10,000 customers PayPal had at the end of 1999. eBay executives took notice of the trend of using this all-new online payment company called PayPal to facilitate transactions on their website, and would go on to acquire the company for $1.5 billion in October 2002. This acquisition made so much sense for both companies since they were both dependent on each other for significant amounts of their revenue. After the acquisition, PayPal was integrated into eBay's site and became the most common method for completing purchases. Considering that eBay had roughly 62 million users and gross merchandise sales of over $15 billion in 2002, this integration resulted in massive jumps of revenue and users for PayPal. The next year in 2003, a full year after eBay acquired the company, PayPal reported over $12 billion in payments processed, quadruple the amount from the year prior. In the company's 10K from 2003, which is for some reason still available online, they state that the $12 billion in payments processed consisted primarily of payment to individuals and small businesses trading on eBay and various other online shopping sites. My next reason for the rise of PayPal is pretty straightforward. It's that PayPal was extremely easy and safe to use. Before PayPal and other online payment apps became widespread, in order to make a payment online, you would have had to manually enter your credit or debit card information each time you wanted to make a payment. Not only was this extremely tedious, but it was also a significant security risk since your card information was being accessed and stored by tons of websites. When you substitute PayPal into the equation though, things become a lot more simpler and secure. Paying with PayPal means only entering your PayPal account information on a website, and then PayPal itself sending the funds to the merchant, and the matching amount being debited from your PayPal account simultaneously. This means that you don't have to manually enter all of your credit or debit card information every time, and PayPal's multi-layered account protection ensures that all of your information is safe. My final reason for the rise of PayPal is the rapid rise of e-commerce in the 2010s. As shopping and the world as a whole was becoming digitalized, people slowly began to use online stores to do their shopping as opposed to going to brick-and-mortar stores. In 2010, e-commerce sales in the US totaled over $42 billion. By 2019, this figure was over $142 billion, a 233% increase. Since PayPal was the prominent online payment company at the time and took a small transaction fee from each payment it facilitated, their strong financials were directly correlated to this rise in e-commerce sales. From 2010 to 2019, PayPal's revenue jumped from $3.5 billion to $17.7 billion, a 405% increase. And yearly transactions completed through PayPal jumped from $3.2 billion in 2013 to $12.4 billion in 2019. The company's stock was also on a respectable climb, surpassing $100 per share by 2019. In the midst of this rise of e-commerce, eBay announced that PayPal would be spun off into its own separate publicly traded company in 2015. This move was led by investors, namely Carl Icahn, who was a massive stakeholder in the company at the time. Icahn's argument was that since PayPal was owned by eBay, other competing online marketplaces refused to allow PayPal to be used as a payment method, because it would technically be helping their competitor eBay. By making PayPal its own company, other massive online marketplaces could start accepting PayPal as a form of payment, opening up massive potential revenues for the company. PayPal becoming a separate company in the midst of this rapid rise of e-commerce played a significant role in the company's steady revenue growth that we just went over. As the pandemic rolled around in 2020, it goes without saying that this resulted in significantly increased revenue and transactions for PayPal. As people were cooped up inside their house and turned solely to online shopping since brick-and-mortar stores were closed, PayPal's growth continued to skyrocket. In 2021, the company's stock reached its all-time high of over $308, a 789% increase from the time it split from eBay back in 2015. By 2022, revenue for PayPal reached $27.5 billion, nearly $10 billion more than pre-pandemic revenue in 2019. Yearly transactions also jumped by nearly 10 billion from pre-pandemic figures. 22.3 billion transactions were completed through PayPal in 2022. Unfortunately for PayPal, the end of the pandemic proved to be an issue for the company and is my first reason for the fall of PayPal. As stores began opening back up and people started leaving their houses again, PayPal saw less activity on their platform. In fact, since 2022, the company has been losing users every year. They peaked at 435 million users in 2022, however by 2024 they reported having 429 million users. Now, yes, this is a very small decline, however you have to factor in how rapidly PayPal was gaining users in the years prior. To go from gaining 30, 40, even 50 million users year over year to losing users in the span of just a couple years, it goes to show how quickly the company is losing steam. However, the pandemic ending is not the sole reason for the decline of PayPal's users. Perhaps the more significant reason is the rise of PayPal's competitors, which is my next reason for the fall of the company. The rise of a multitude of competitors to PayPal in recent years has begun to significantly threaten PayPal's dominance of the online payments industry. These competitors include services like Cash App, Zelle, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. PayPal still reigns supreme for online payments between customers and merchants. For example, if you're buying a product directly off a company's site, you most likely won't see an option to pay with Cash App or Zelle, only PayPal. However, if you're supporting, let's say, your favorite local food truck or you're paying a friend directly, you're probably going to use Cash App or Apple Pay, not PayPal. PayPal's two largest competitors, Cash App and Apple Pay, have promising figures that illustrate the tough situation PayPal finds itself in today. Cash App has more than doubled its users from before the pandemic, reporting 57 million users in 2024 compared to 24 million in 2019. Additionally, they reported over $14.3 billion in revenue in 2023, up from just $1.3 billion in 2019. In Apple Pay's case, it's a little more tough since Apple doesn't disclose the exact figures. However, Capital One estimates that over 640 million users worldwide use Apple Pay. If you've been paying attention, you'll recall that that's over 200 million more users than PayPal reported in 2024. Perhaps even more worrying for PayPal is that Apple Pay and Cash App are most popular with the youngest consumers. Generation Z, defined as people born between 1997 and 2012, are overwhelmingly using Apple Pay and Cash App, not PayPal. Capital One reported that 73.1% of Generation Z members that own digital wallets have Apple Pay. 39% have Cash App, and just 20% have PayPal. It seems as if these newer online payment services have been widely adopted by the younger generation, and PayPal has slowly become something that the older generation prefers. This is bad news for PayPal as time continues to go on. My final reason for the fall of PayPal is the long list of controversies that the company has experienced that have caused the public opinion of the company to generally be pretty negative. You could make full-length videos about each of PayPal's controversies, but to keep it brief, I will just quickly go over the more significant ones that have left a sour taste in the mouth of consumers. The first controversy is just a general practice of PayPal that has been prevalent for years. PayPal is infamous for locking or even closing accounts for seemingly no reason, and not paying out users the money that was in their account when it was either closed or locked. There are thousands of reviews online of people voicing their frustrations about this topic. A more specific controversy occurred in 2022 when PayPal updated its acceptable use policy to state that messages shared on the platform that were fraudulent, promote misinformation, or are unlawful would be subject to a $2,500 fine. This acceptable use policy also stated that decisions about which messages violated this policy would be made at PayPal's sole discretion. This drew intense backlash online as people believed that this policy could infringe upon free speech. This online revolt was led by David Marcus, a former president of PayPal. Marcus tweeted, "A private company now gets to decide to take your money if you say something they disagree with. Insanity." PayPal eventually removed the note about misinformation from the acceptable use policy. However, the majority of users have not forgotten about this questionable decision that PayPal was seemingly willing to enforce if not for the public backlash. And finally, a controversy that is extremely fresh. Following a bombshell video from YouTuber Megalag, a company called Honey was exposed for at best extremely shady business practices and at worst illegal behavior. Honey is a browser extension that automatically scours the internet for coupon codes for you to use when online shopping. Honey partnered with massive influencers and gave them affiliate links, which would earn the creators a commission if a viewer used their affiliate link to ultimately end up buying something. Well, Honey was found to have sometimes been refreshing the webpage after a viewer clicked on an affiliate link so that Honey didn't have to pay the creator the small commission. Additionally, Honey was found to have been actively screwing over all of their users by allowing merchants to choose which coupon codes were available on Honey, meaning that in all likelihood, Honey would not be giving users the best coupon codes available, since it would not make sense financially for the merchants to do so. By now, you're probably wondering what this has to do with PayPal. Well, PayPal acquired Honey in 2019 for $4 billion. It is by far the largest acquisition they've ever made and represents a significant portion of their business. So, Honey being exposed and facing various outcomes such as being sued into oblivion or being straight up shut down represents massive potential losses for PayPal. Additionally, the fact that PayPal so openly attaches their brand to Honey, even going as far as calling Honey PayPal Honey, only causes more public distrust and disdain of PayPal. Because at the end of the day, since Honey is owned by PayPal, PayPal in theory knew about Honey's scummy business practices and allowed it to continue. Today, PayPal's stock has experienced a massive drop from its all-time high during the pandemic. It's dropped more than 70%, and the future outlook for the company is bleak for reasons that I went over in this video. Will PayPal be able to return to dominating the online payments industry like it once did? Only time will tell.